What is going on, all you beautiful, beautiful people? Welcome back to another episode of Tunnel Vision. I have here my good buddy David, friend of the pod here.
What's up, guys?
Sup, dude? It's been a couple weeks again.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Sorry.
No, not sorry. Sucks. Yeah, man, getting down to finals here, so shortly we will be back to our regularly scheduled program of every week, hopefully. So, yeah, getting back into the swing of things as summer slowly approaches.
Finally.
Eventually, one of these days, but, you know.
You can see, like, the light at the end of the tunnel.
Something like that. So it's just darkness ahead. It's just nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed. Well, yeah, man. So I had some shit go on in the last week.
You did indeed.
Yes, friend. So
It's your prop.
if you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen that I won my first ever PDGA tournament. Yes, thank you. No, you don't have to do that. I appreciate that.
I was there clapping, so.
So had New Jersey State Championship last weekend now, and just put together a couple solid rounds. It was a 2-day event, 3 rounds, 2 rounds the first day, 1 round the second day. It was the first multi-day event I've ever done. It was a B tier. So a little bit better than C tier, so that's good. But yeah, just strung a couple good rounds together and ended up taking the win by 6 strokes. So yeah, good sizable lead to
Did it feel like 6
everybody.
strokes? No.
We'll get into that in a little bit though. But yeah, it was a good feeling, and it's nice to finally like break through the barrier of like, oh right, I can like do this now.
Well, I mean, like with disc golf, and we've definitely been talking about it, because like, not to toot my own horn, but my game's starting to improve, and you're just like, yeah, once you hit like this barrier, then like the game just opens up. Or like once you start playing tournaments, you just start to improve. Once you hit like 350 with the forehand, your game starts to open up. It's just like once you start getting that first, like everything starts to open up more.
Right.
Which is like
it's just
really
like,
exciting for you.
Yeah, you just like you have these barriers like I don't know. I guess you can call them barriers like that are kind of set in the evolution of your game. And every time like you break one down, it like seems so far away when you're just like trying to get there and you're like fighting for it, but you finally get there and you break through that, and then like so much more is like clear. Like the second you hit 350 on a forehand, you're like, oh, I can throw 400, and it's not as hard, right? And then you hit 400 and you can go like, I can throw a little farther. So then I get a win and I'm like, oh, I can win some more, right. But yeah, it's cool, and it was an MA1 win, which I will probably not be allowed to play an MA1 for much longer. So that's fine. But, it had some solid ass people there at the tournament. It was definitely a lot of fun. Some drama went down at the tournament. All kinds of fun stuff. So we'll get into all of that here today, and I'm very excited to let you guys know how it went, as it's not a very, like, known thing, right? Not a lot of you really like were aware that it was going on, but that's why we're here to kind of recap it for you.
You're just like, Adam posted that he won. Cool.
Yeah. Okay. So, I guess just to start out with, so a couple of months ago, I was just scrolling through disc golf scene, trying to find some tournaments, just around anywhere around the state of Maryland, because Maryland doesn't really have a lot going on, especially when it comes to like B tiers and up. Yeah, there's like plenty of C tiers like here and there. Well, not plenty of. There's a couple C tiers like here and there as you go, but looking for some like slightly bigger tournaments. So stumbled across New Jersey State's, and immediately wanted to do that. Sounded cool. Was a B tier multi-day. I was like, oh, that's sweet. So I went ahead, signed up for it. Like, registration opened up like right at 8 p.m. Signed up right at like 8 p.m. Was done by like 8:01, and I was like 5th on the wait list, something like that.
I remember that because you texted me saying that, and you're pretty like upset. You're like damn.
Because I really wanted to play it, and I was like, oh man, that like really blows that I'm not gonna be able to do that. But
I was like, don't worry, man.
But these diamond hands over here didn't pull out.
Yeah.
And just waited and waited and waited, and then 2 weeks before the tournament, I went in and checked, as I do like every couple of days on there, and it showed
Was it every
up.
couple days or was it like every couple hours?
It was every couple of days. Okay,
Okay,
all right. I got it. But went in and pulled it up, and it said Adam Seymour, MA1, no wait list next to it. I was like, oh,
I'm in.
I guess I'm in.
I'm in. Thank God, right?
Yeah, thank God. So found out 2 weeks prior. Was planning on going down one day during the weekend, just play the courses once before I went up there, and that got rained out, so I ended up not going. So what ended up happening is I booked a hotel up in New Jersey, just stayed there for the weekend. Went on Friday, played the courses for the first time, just played one round at each of the courses. Pretty different courses, I would say, both of them. You only saw one of them, but they were Camp Tecumseh and Field of Dreams, as you can see on the plaque over there. So Field of Dreams, which we only played once for the first round, is kind of it's a more like technical course. Through most of it, it's in the woods mainly. Got some like shorter shots that like you have to hit perfect lines on if you're gonna get a chance to go for the birdies. But it was difficult to like kind of it sucked because the tournament director didn't really put out the layout until like a couple of days before the event, so it was like scrambling around to figure out like what we were playing and stuff. But the layout was pretty decent. It played very hard on the day, but you know. Was
it windy?
That course, it was so windy. Like
that day was really windy.
The practice day was really windy too, so it's helpful for that. But yeah, it's pretty much just like in the woods, some like short, just like well on the shorter spectrum of things, technical shots, and then it kind of opens up on the last four to just like some big bombs. So just like completely switched once you get to like hole 14, I believe. So that course is pretty decent. I would say it's like a, I don't know, 3.7 to a 4 for me, something like that. Maybe a 4. I'd be generous, give it a 4 out of 5 for me. Yeah, personally. And then Camp Tecumseh is beautiful, beautiful place.
I'd say that's probably because I played in North Carolina. You haven't had the privilege of playing down there, and that's probably Camp Tecumseh was like probably one of the best courses I've played at.
It's very sick, and the tournament layout that they set up was awesome, and just like some really fun, interesting holes. A lot of like different shots on every hole. You start out in the woods with like some of like similar to Field of Dreams, like some more like somewhat shorter technical shots that you have to throw, and then it kind of opens up slowly. So you get out of the woods on hole 8. You're still surrounded by a couple woods, like still some danger of like not hitting the fairway, but get some longer shots in there, a couple par 4s, stuff like that, and then it just completely opens up on like the last 6 or 7 holes. And that course is a 20-hole layout, but they did some interesting stuff with out of bounds. Had an island hole that we'll talk about later, a big par 5 that's like pretty eagleable if you have the distance, which I did not go for during the weekend because I had felt like I didn't need to after the rounds that I put together. But yeah, it's just like some very fun stuff and some like just really picturesque, beautiful holes. And it plays windy out there, but like that doesn't really take away from the experience of the course, and that's how you kind of know if it's good or not. It's like whatever conditions you're playing in, you're like still having a very good time. Then you kind of know, and that's definitely up there for me. That actual tournament layout, I don't know if that's always how it is because I've never been there before, other than when they had all like the flags put out and the 20-hole setup, and they added 3 extra holes. 3 new holes that had 2 extras and then 1 just like different one that don't usually have out there. So I thought it was really nice, and that's like probably one of my favorite courses I've ever played at. Definitely one of my favorite layouts I've ever played, and just provided good, like a good challenge of like all different skill sets that you need. So Played there, really enjoyed that. And again, super fucking windy when I went there on my practice day.
Right.
Which, again, the weekend kind of turned out to be pretty windy, so it played to an advantage. But just went out there to both those courses on Friday and took some notes down, wrote down the discs that I thought I'd be throwing on the holes, some of the lines that I wanted to hit, the danger on each hole. Like I said, there's a bunch of OB that we were playing on both of the courses, actually. So lots of stuff to like look out for while you're out there. But got that in and just got some sleep that night, took some rest. And then came around to round 1 of the New Jersey State Championships. I started on hole 15, which is like the first bomber hole of the course for Field of Dreams, which is...
That's kind of like what you wanted to start with.
I would say you'd want to start with that because it warms you up the quickest. But it's definitely weird that... Because you're going into it and you're playing all the bomber stuff, and then you're just diving into the woods, and it's much different. Like the start of your round, and then the rest of it is just very different.
Well, it's probably good to say that when you first got there, it was like a shotgun start, so you can just warm up by throwing that hole a couple of times.
Yeah, and the hole I started on was a par 4, 620 feet. And it had an elevated basket. It was pretty straightforward. OB like close on the left, maybe like 30 feet to the left of the tee pad, and you can just pretty much hang it out super wide. But all of us that were in the car together were just over by the elevated basket, just putting on it because it's different. It's like so much different, like more than you may think. Just like putting up at it, and it's a very dangerous hole to start on because sometimes if you're hanging it out wide on the right side, there's a sidewalk that comes around the pin, and if you sail it over, if you're like going for a stiff bid at the basket, you could like catch some wind and just like pick up and go out of bounds, and it just like quickly turn like a birdie look into a bogey, you know. Yeah. So all of us took that time to do that, but yeah, ended up birdieing that first hole, and that felt good. Until I went into the next hole and took a 5 on it and took a bogey on that one. But we don't gotta talk about that. That's fine. No, but yeah. So for that one, and that was another thing of like, so my first hole I had like a really good drive, really good second shot, and second hole I had a really good drive, and then just like hit one tree. And then I was going into my next shot, and I was like thinking about the tree, and then hit another one, and then hit like another shot, and then it was like it just turned it
snowball effect.
Yeah, it's just like the little snowball effect, and it's just you hate to see it out there, but
for sure.
But it's fine. And went through the round just kind of going a little bit back and forth, like would pick up some birdies and then would bogey a couple holes due to like OB and stuff like that. And I was going through my round and was not playing nearly as well as I was in my practice round. So I was like, man, I'm probably like pretty far down on the leaderboard. Right. And so I just like checked in like halfway through the round, and I was up at the top, and I was like, oh, so like this sucks for everyone right now. Like we're all not shooting great.
Cause I was for Towson Marching Band, we had a performance at the lacrosse game, and it was funny because I got everyone into it. Like the entire drum line, I was like, people were like checking in. They're like, "How's Peter?" God, what the hell? How's Adam?
That's crazy.
I was like, "How's Adam doing?" I was like, "Right now he's in first." And like, I remember at lunch, Dan came over to me. He goes, "How's the boy doing?" I was like, "He's in first." He goes, "No fucking way." I was like, "Yeah," but that was at that point. It was still the first round.
Yeah,
the second round was when the drama started.
Yeah, so.
But it was the second round one.
Yeah, it was second round when stuff went good. But yeah, first round was over, and I ended up shooting a 2 down, which was first for that. And then had 2 people tied in second behind me get 1 down, and then like 3 people tied for fourth at even par. And this is kind of where some drama started after this round. So apparently, which like I heard from other people pulling into the parking lot. Like this course is like 45 minutes away. So we all get out of there. We're done. We're moving on to the next course. And I get out of my car, and there's these people just like talking to the TD, and they're all like pretty pissed off, right? So it's worth saying that the pool that I was playing in was filled with MA1 and pro players. So that means like when we're at each course, for this first day. Like everybody there is either MA1 or pro. And then like everyone else was at the other course. So some of the pro guys were going up to TD and like yelling at them, and I was like, "Oh, what's going on here?" Yeah. And it turns out that the TD somehow went up to everybody, or not everybody, but like 6 groups of people, and said, "Oh, on hole, I think it was 13 maybe." He said, "We're going to play this layout, right? We're going to go to this basket," which was not actually the basket we were supposed to go to. So the TD forgot the layout and told people to go to one of them for some reason, right? And there's like sticks in this basket to make sure people know, like, hey, this is not the basket that you're going to today. You're going to go to the long basket. And he was telling people to go to the short basket.
The one that had the sticks in it?
Yeah. He was telling people to go to it because he just forgot the layout. And on the scoring app, it tells you where all the layouts are. So it obviously says, like, don't go to the short basket on it. And nobody ended up playing to the short basket, which is the weird thing. But because he had told people to go play on it. No, nobody went to it. Oh, but because he had told people, he decided the best course of action was to just cut the hole. So he just deleted the hole off of the PDGA Live scoring, and that either helped people or hurt people. For me, I parred the hole. I
park off.
it was par 4. I got a 4 on it, so it did not affect my score at all. But some people either birdied it or like double bogeyed it. So either like helped them significantly or hurt them a little bit, right? I had a couple people on my card. They were like, "Oh yeah, I birdied that hole," and they just took that birdie away from me. And I'm pissed now, right? And some of those like pro guys are like, "So am I going to get my money back for the tournament?" Like shit like that. And it's like, listen, man.
It's one stroke. I mean, especially for the pro, because if you look back at the score for pro,
it was nowhere close to that.
It was nowhere near close.
Like they weren't going to cash, like
exactly.
You know, like from one stroke. And it's just it's difficult. But then you have to think about what if people like double bogeyed it, and then there's a 3-stroke swing. Because somebody bogeyed it and somebody double bogeyed it, right?
Yes.
It's just like, how do you mess that up, right? And I think it's because this TD took forever to get out.
Well, yeah, I remember because
the layouts.
What day did you get that layout? Was that Thursday?
Yeah, that was Thursday, 2 days before the event started on Saturday. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, but regardless, we moved on from that. Nixed the hole, whatever. We got grouped in our cards like based on the holes like without it taken away on the next one, right? So it like didn't change anything for the next round, like matchup wise, like who was with who,
right?
But it's just it sucks to be honest. It just sucks kind of a lot. And so I get into the second round, starting on hole 15 again, shotgun start, similar thing. And this time I'm on lead card because I shot the hot round for that. So got together with a couple guys, Ron and Scott, who I'd be playing with for the rest of the event for this round and next round. So had a stellar round two. Absolutely killer.
So how many birdies did you get in a row at one point? 7?
So, I started on hole 15, and so let's just go with this. So, started on hole 15, birdied the first 3, which was pretty great. I was pretty thrilled about that. Birdied the first 3, was feeling high and mighty, absolutely crushed those, and those are some hard ones with some like OB close. So I was feeling good after going off that. The first one's kind of just like a gimme birdie, and then the next few is just like kind of tough to get.
Which one was 15?
15 was the like short.
Oh, is that the one that's like right by the basket's right by the road?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. So it's just like a short like hyzer over a road 200 feet. Right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
So it should be a birdie, but you have like depth around it because it's just like the basket's sitting there, and then like 10 feet off of it's just like OB on like the far and right side of it. So you gotta kind of put it like right dead on the pin.
Right.
So, birdied the first 3, got out to hole 19, which is the island hole. So, this is a 441-foot par 3, downhill a fair way, not like insanely downhill, but sloped downhill the whole way. And the hole is guarded by these two big evergreen trees. You have OB maybe like 20 to 15, 20 feet behind the basket, and there's just like a road coming on the backside, the right side, and then there's an island marked with flags, which basically makes the island about like 80 feet like in the whole circle, right? And then there's an option, which I never saw anybody do this. You could lay up, it was like a little 250-foot shot, and then just go for the island afterward off the tee. But I don't think I saw anybody do that. I don't know if anybody would do that. It's just like, it's one of those things of like, you're gonna probably it could gain you strokes on the field, or it can lose you strokes on the field really quickly. And if you're gonna pitch up, like that's not even a guaranteed par, because that's a hard upshot and like still a dangerous upshot. So I don't think anybody did. I wouldn't advise doing it. It's just like, it's one of those things. So I had a game plan of throwing a Force, which is a very overstable distance driver, just like very high on hyzer, and getting it to spike into the green. And I felt like I really sat out of my hand pretty well, but just didn't read the headwind correctly, and ended up like kind of holding on the angle a little bit longer than I thought I would. Didn't get to the ground as quickly, and just ended up sailing the island about like 30 feet long, hit off the road, and was out of bounds. So I went to the drop zone, which is right at the beginning of the island. So you got this like 75, 80 foot putt to save your par. Ended up missing it. Took a 4 on the hole. Whatever. Didn't feel great about that one after, because I really wanted that. And that's one where like other people got 2s on it on my car, and it's like, it's just like that little swing. It's like, shit.
You normally either get a 2 or you got a 4 on that one. You didn't get anything. If you got a 3, you know.
Ron got a 3. So take that. Well, shout out Ron.
Yeah,
Ron,
for real.
Ron the
for
homie,
real.
For real. But yeah, so ended up getting a bogey on that one, and that's fine. And that one definitely stuck in my head, which is important to the story. Remember that. I was pissed about that. But went on the rest of the round. Got another bogey on 1. Got a birdie on 4. And then a bogey immediately on the next hole on 5 from a bad tee shot. That hole 5 is a 234-foot par 3, very short hole. Just gotta like make it through one of the 3 gaps. Ended up not doing that. Had a bad scramble, and then ended up like missing this 80-foot putt. Just tapped in, and I was not very happy with that. Right. And then there's this really fun hole. It's actually probably my favorite hole on the course, even though I didn't birdie it once over the weekend. Is hole 7, which is this.
I hated it.
Oh, I love this hole. It's this par 5 in the woods, very difficult, 755 feet, if I didn't say that already.
Do not advise. This one sucks.
I love this hole, and Scott loves this hole too, so
right,
shut up.
Scott's hole.
But the very tough hole, and saw some good birdies on it, but it's very much, you have to throw 4 really good shots to get a birdie on it, you know. But ended up just parring out on both of them. Like both times, and whatever. But yeah, ended up parring that one. Hole 7's a short little one, and I had a really good shot off of the tee, but left myself a little bit short and behind a tree, and just couldn't make like the little. I had to like throw a lofty like hyzer putt, and it's on an elevated basket, or a hanging basket, I should say, off of a branch.
Oh, you're talking about the hanging basket.
Yeah, the hanging basket hole.
I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about like the par 5 that was just long and just
awful. So, but I ended up putting that short like behind a tree and just couldn't make the putt work. Ended up getting a 3 on it. And at that point, I was like, okay, I started out well, and I think I was 1 down at that point on the round, and I was down a couple strokes on Scott at that point. Scott was
Scott? I thought it was Zach.
No, Zach. So Zach got ahead of me after the first hole, but then Scott came through and started leading the cart after his birdie, I believe, on 6. Yeah, he birdied 6 and 7, which I parred both of them, and then took a lead on me. And at that point, I'm like, okay, we got to get something going here.
All right, so I'm going to tell them my side of the story.
Yeah, please.
All right, so I had, like I said, I had Towson marching band performance, and I was coming, so on this day 2, the 3rd round, I was coming to caddy for him.
Yeah.
And so I had to, after the game ended a little late, and we had like pictures because last day. Whatever.
Last day.
Oh my god. Oh. So I had to drive up to Jersey, and as I'm driving, the entire day I've just been like watching your score. I was like refresh. Because sometimes PDGA, like the live scoring thing, takes forever.
Yeah.
And I know your parents were feeling the same thing.
Oh yeah, no, everyone was stressing the hell out about it.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy.
So I was driving, and every once in a while, when I was like, after a song finished playing, I was like, all right, let's see. All right, cool. But there's
Do not use your phone and drive, kids. We do not advise this behavior.
I was every single time the car stopped, and when they were like, there was like traffic.
Cap.
Okay. Anyway, so I was.
It's fine. Just we don't advise it.
Yes.
But like, you get what I mean.
Yeah. So I was driving, and I was like 2 hours. I remember I was 2 hours away from Jersey, and you were down 2 strokes. I think you were shooting at 2 under in the round, and someone was shooting 4 under. Mm-hmm. So I think that was what we were just talking about. So we were talking. We were talking. So I was like driving, and I was like, I was like, all right, buddy, you gotta pick this up. I literally said this out loud. I was like, you gotta pick it up. And I texted you because I was like a stop sign, mm-hmm. and I texted you. I was like, hey, I'm like 2 hours out. Keep going or something like that. It was like some cheesy. I'm sure you didn't see it.
No, I didn't see it because I was like my phone on. Do not disturb.
Right. So I was like, all right, you gotta keep going. And as I kept driving, I was just like seeing how how it was going. And you start picking it up at the end, towards like the middle, right after I sent that text. Actually, you started picking it up, and I was like screaming at the car. I was like, "Let's freaking go!" I was like so pumped. It was so cool.
Yeah. So the last 7 holes, I birdied 6 out of the 7. Went on a big stretch of holes, where I was feeling it a little bit. My putt was on. It felt good. It started on a hole 8. It's 327 foot forehand, like wide forehand shot, and I generally base my round off of if my forehand feels good or not. It felt good after that shot, so I was like, so we're doing this now, then, okay? We're gonna pick it up now, and just birdied the next 2, and then on 10, chained out on a putt. Like a 50-footer like straddle putt, which I do not straddle for my putt. I go a staggered stance. So it was like a little uncomfortable, and just threw it a little bit too far to the left, didn't commit to it quite enough, and chained out. But even then, I was looking at a putt for a birdie, and just kept like rolling.
Right.
Rolling on, and ended up birdieing 6 out of the last 7. So, and I ended up just like gaining a ton of strokes on people because other people were starting to. Like Scott started to par out on a couple of these, and then on hole 11 he got a double bogey, and it just stuff like that, and had Ron in there who went kind of back and forth, got some bogeys, got some birdies, got some pars, but just kind of ran
as you do.
But just ended up kind of running away with it with the last 7 holes, which felt great.
Yeah,
I thought that was nice. But ended up 7 down on the round, which is the hot round of the day for the AMs. The second best round was a 4 down, which brings in Mark into the card for the last round, and our buddy Zach, who led at one point, ended up shooting 1 down on the round, got a couple bad breaks on the back 9, and just ended up not being able to take advantage of some of the looks that he had, and got pushed down to chase card. So it was me, Ron, Scott, and Mark going into the final day. But let me tell you, that was an electric feeling coming off of there.
Because as soon as I saw that the round was over, I tried FaceTiming you.
Yeah.
But I think your phone was still off. And
I saw. I was just like still with my card mates.
Yeah, that's what I thought. What I thought. So I was like, and eventually you ended up calling me back. And at this point, I already called my mom, like telling her, like, I'm fucking winning, like, holy shit, this is awesome. And I called, like, eventually we started calling. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, this is happening? Like, what's going on? And as soon as I told him, like, I was like, hey, I'm like 20 minutes out. And because I was gonna play like the layout, just because I play, but I'm not anywhere near as good. But I ended up playing well.
Hey, you played well for you. It was really good. It was a good round.
Anyway, so I got there, and I literally I got out of the car as quick as I could. And I shut closed my door like really hard. I come to you and just give you a big old hug. Because I called you, I was like, "Watch out! I want to kiss you." Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, I got back into the car and people just calling me and
Yeah.
it's like parents just like, we couldn't get our eyes off of the phone and shit like that. It's just like,
Yeah.
yeah I know. Like, just imagine.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, I ended up 9 down on the round or through the 2 rounds, and the next closest was 3 down. So I had a 6-stroke cushion going into the last day. And everybody texted me, just like, yeah, man, just like go out there and finish it. And I was feeling the pressure. I was feeling it. I'm not going to lie.
I didn't know.
I was definitely a little freaked out by it, you know, and I never done a 2-day before, so I was like, oh,
You're like, I should be done.
so we're done now, right?
Yeah.
But no, we were not done. We had a day left, but we just took the night to chill, just hang out, watch some DDO coverage.
Ended up buying 2 huge pizzas for no reason.
No, we didn't buy 2 huge pizzas. We bought a pizza, and we bought a large and a small, and they just ended up giving us a large, which we just didn't eat. We didn't die.
I ended up my apartment and just eating that in like 2
Oh
days.
yeah, no, I'm sure it was great for the boys.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, so he was there at that point to come caddy for me, which thank you so much for doing. It's like a 3.5 hour drive to get up there, and this man drove all the way there to caddy for me. It's kind of ridiculous.
I would drive like 10 hours for that. That shit was so much.
I appreciate that, bro.
It was so much fun. Like, for no reason. I was like, because I was expecting, I was like, you know, I'll just be there. It'll be like a good time to like hang out.
Yeah.
But I wasn't expecting me to get as involved into it.
Yeah.
It was just, it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. But it was a pretty crazy final day, let me tell you. So, like I said, definitely feeling the nerves. Had the late tee time for the MA1s going into the lead card, like I said, and feeling the pressure a little bit. And didn't have as great of a day, but was able to close it out, obviously. But so, ended up getting there around like 11:20-ish is I think when we ended up teeing off. Yeah, and then... So got to the first hole, which I had bogeyed the previous day, and I birdied it. I felt pretty great about that. Felt really good. And you know, when you get a birdie,
that was a great tee shot.
Yeah, it was parked.
Yeah,
and it's hard to get close on that hole because there's one line and it's very small.
Yeah,
and that's like the only way to get to the pin, and I ended up hitting it. But I will say, when I got there, as you know, with my diabetes, I started getting like a pretty bad low out of nowhere, which I think was caused by like some stress, and just started like dumping. So I was just sitting there like chugging Cokes.
Yeah, I think you had.
I like
because when we were walking over to the.
I like 2 Cokes.
Yeah, I think because
like
when we were walking over to the tee pad.
Yeah. You
had one then, which is funny because you can tell them about like.
Oh yeah, so there was. The first day, So second round, like right before we tee off, I'm like, I have a Coke because I have them in my bag, but I throw my bag around a lot, right? So like they get shaken up right in there. But I started having a low for the second round, so I like took one out and I opened it up, and I just like didn't pay attention and opened it and just everywhere spewed. My hands were like sticky and shit. It sucked, and they were just like, "Are you kidding?" We're just cool dudes. So it was just like funny, but I was like, "Damn it!" But later on in the round, I started feeling it again, so I had another Coke out, and they were like watching me while I was doing it, and I just like cracked it open. And then like stopped it before it exploded. And I'm like, oh, y'all are done now. And that's when I went on my run after. So, like, funny enough, I was like joking about it, but like kind of actually worked. And so it was just like this big meal. Was like, oh, he's gonna have another Coke. He's getting ready for the day.
I remember because I hadn't met the dudes that were on your card, and when they came up to us, like. They're like, "What's up, Coke man?" Like, I think they Ron said that. He was like, "What's up, Coke man?"
Yeah, literally. But yeah, shit was funny. But I ended up having to drink 2 of those, and I was sitting there because I was at like 50 my blood sugar, and I was like getting the shakes because like when you get that low, you just like your body just starts to like freak out a little bit. So I'm sitting there like already nervous, like I probably would have the shakes anyway. I was just sitting there like shaking, and just like feeling it a little bit. And that kind of carried through like
most of the round.
Well, I would say like through like 12 holes.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it was kind of shitty because my blood sugar ended up going up and kind of leveling, but like after I was like doing the shakes with that, it just like kind of turned into like the nervous shakes, and it just kind of like continued through there.
2 days are hard, man.
It's tough.
Yeah,
it's tough. But after the first hole of like feeling great, got to the third hole and just had an absolute stinker. Just had a terrible tee shot and then tried to recover from it and ended up throwing early out of my hand, going out of bounds.
Well, I was just thinking about this. I think because you asked me for one of those shots when we were out of bounds.
Yeah.
And we're trying to do like the third shot, I think, or second.
Well, it was technically the fourth.
Right.
It was my third shot, but it was like my fourth stroke because I went out of bounds.
Yeah. And you asked me which line to take. And I was in that mindset, all right, let's get by the basket. So I said the inside rail out. But the other one was more open, and like thinking back on it, like because we had at that point a comfortable lead.
Yeah.
I should have picked
Well,
the other one,
it ended up working, and I ended up getting out of there with a double bogey, which like thank God, because I was in a bad spot. Like you do not want to be where I was, because the OB is like hard to find, and I found it, and just not very good. So I ended up double bogeying that one, but I got a birdie in the next one. So I was just I leveled out. I was at even, whatever. Okay, it's fine. We're all fine. Everybody just needs to calm down a little bit.
Right.
We're going to be all right. But par the next two holes, 5 and 6, the long hole 6, the long par 5 in the woods, like I was talking about, ended up birdieing 7, which I did not do in round 2. So good stuff there. But then...
that was the hanging basket, right?
Yeah. But then had a couple... more just like not very good hole, just like pars that just weren't very good. Like put myself in I didn't have a good drive on 8, but then did have a really good drive on 9 and had a terrible upshot where I left myself like 50 short.
It was funny on 9 was the one that you had to. It was a bomb to start, right?
Yeah, it was just like this huge like 500-foot shot off the tee,
and like everyone because you surpassed everyone in your car.
Yeah,
and everyone was like. And then you end up getting a 4 on that, and like I think the rest,
everyone else birdied it.
Yeah, everyone's got a birdie.
Like, oh fuck!
And like they're all giving you shit. It's like, see, this is why I don't throw far. Like they're just like, it's so funny.
But everybody else birdied it, and when it's the next one, I was just like in my head, and we had like people watching, and everybody else just like parked the hole, and I was last, and I was like, oh fuck!
Yeah.
And I threw a bit of a shank job and just like went to a place that I've never been on that hole. Like went really deep.
So you got a bogey on that one.
Yeah, and ended up like not being able to scramble my way out of it. Yeah. And got a bogey, and everyone else like had an easy tap in for birdie.
And I knew that messed with you.
Yeah, I did.
Because I remember we sat after 10.
We sat on 11.
We sat on that bench for a little bit because we had to wait. And I was like looking at you because like we were both sitting on the bench, and I was looking at you, and I could just tell that you're like
I was pissed.
You're pissed, and you're a little shaky.
I was not fun.
And I because you like we got like stood up because we were about to go, and I looked at you, I was like, you're good, you got this, like you're good.
And this is the moment where Ron started to creep up on me a little bit. This man was on my fucking heels. Yeah. Okay, so at this point in the round, after that bogey on 10, I was shooting even, okay? And my guy Ron
was he 4 down?
Was 3 down. Okay, so he was 3 behind me, right? Still had a little bit of a cushion, but was not feeling comfortable about it at all. So we're going into a par 4 next, just like a little layup shot, and then a chip over to like this island green. And then make your putt, pretty much, right? Yeah. You're gonna have like a 30-foot putt-ish, right? If like you have an average shot,
right?
So I ended up getting that, which was very important because I had looked at the scores at that point because I was like, oh fuck,
yeah,
because this is not good.
And you got that birdie, and I'm sure you're.
And I turned around, and you're like, you needed that, and I was like, I know. Yeah, I did. So funny. Just like kept him back.
Yeah,
whatever. And we go to the next hole, and the next one's like this really short hole. It's like 200 feet, and it's par 3, but there's this tight tunnel and this huge dog leg to the left. So you have to throw something like really high and like stall it and just get it to move left. And I just ended up trying to do a little too much and threw it pretty bad. Tried to cut off a little too much and ended up like not getting out of the tunnel. And Ron did end up getting out of the tunnel. And
that's when he I think he was up on the hill.
He had like a 50-footer like on a hill, like on the side of a hill, and kind of like downward putt. And I had a good scramble out of where I was, which was a pretty bad spot, but got myself to like 15 feet. And he ended up missing his putt. So I was like, oh great, I'm just gonna tap this in real quick, and we're gonna move on. No damage done. And I ended up missing the putt. And I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
And Ron Town was 3, so now he's 2 off of me, and we're sitting there just like, oh boy.
Because during that hole, I was talking to one of Ron's buddies,
Yeah.
and he's like, are you watching the scorecard? And I'm like, I'm feeling the scorecard. What do you mean?
What do you mean?
And yeah, that guy, I mean, he was a cool dude.
Oh my God, Ron is such a...
Everyone
Dude.
there was...
Yeah, everyone there was... It was like special shout out to Ron and Scott, though. My boys. Those guys are amazing humans. Like, absolutely fantastic humans to be around. And yeah, man, like... It was getting into like, because we all were like very chatty the first day and like even like through some of the second day, and it was just silent
towards the end.
Like once it got into like
well, it was
once he got into 3, it like started to just be very quiet.
Well, especially when well, it was really because I was with you obviously, and then Ron had his grandpa there, and but he also like had some of his friends come with us for a couple holes. And it was funny because you'd see, like, I remember on one hole, you'd see Zach and Scott start talking to each other. And, like, I could like, overheard them, like, are you seeing this right now? Like, it's close.
Yeah.
And, like, and then you guys were just, like, kind of just, like...
Oh, you mean Mark and Scott?
Mark and Scott.
Yeah.
And it was very...
It was very intense. It was a very intense environment to be in. It was very stressful, and I was freaking the fuck out a lot of it. And just getting a lot of anxiety going. And just, like, pumping through my veins. But... So that was another swing, and then we were going into the next hole, and he was only 2 off of me, and we both had like some pretty bad tee shots on the next hole. It was like a little forehand hole, but he ended up going into like some woods. I ended up getting out of the woods, but left myself with like a 60-footer that I couldn't make. It was like 60 feet, and then it was uphill, and just didn't find chains on it, and just wasn't feeling confident about like my long range putt like I was the previous day, because I was making like 40, 50 footers like it was nothing the previous day, and that's how I got so low. It's like whenever I can rely on my putt and just like put myself in a position to score, that's when I play well. But I wasn't feeling great about those long range putts, and I was just like kind of falling apart on it. So we both ended up parring the next hole, so we're still battling. And that takes us to hole 14, which is a par 4. He ended up shanking it pretty bad, and I ended up putting it in a good position to get a birdie.
Just want to shout out myself the other day, like the day before I did this hole, threw 430 feet with forehand.
Yes, downhill, you did it on a full flex. Congrats. But anyway,
just to my horn just a little bit.
So par 4, it's a
small victory.
531 feet. But I ended up getting away with a birdie on that one, just like a simple like chip up, tap it in. Good. He ended up going into the woods early and scrambled out of there and ended up getting a par. So that took us 3 apart. And the next hole, we both ended up going like, and this is the little hole we were talking about earlier, where you just like get a simple hyzer over like the OB, and then you should.
This hole was intense.
And we both had like 45 footers, but death right behind us, right? Like hardcore death putt. So I was looking at David, and I'm like, I'm gonna run it, but like barely.
Yeah,
like,
I told you, I was like, don't go OB.
Yeah, I was like, I was aiming like, if I'm gonna miss, I'm gonna hit the basket. It's gonna be fine. So I ended up missing, but I went under the basket and just like barely like stopped before the road.
It was like, if this is the end of the road, his disc literally, and probably like a foot in. Yeah, it was close.
It wasn't like half it was off, half it was on, but it was definitely like pushing it a little bit. It was like just like take him out of breathe.
Yeah.
And Ron, with ice in his fucking veins, just drained the putt.
Because I remember whispering to you, I was like, "Do you think he's running it?" He goes, "He's like, you have to."
You can't not run it at this point. Like you know the situation, you know what you have to do. We only have so many holes left. Like time is running out, right? And ice in his veins ended up straight in, dead center chains, not even a question about it. And that, it was cold. It was a good fucking putt.
Oh no, dude!
You know? It was sick. It was sick to see. And like it's so hard because like these dudes, like I said, solid humans, and you want to see them succeed. But I was sitting there like, oh my god, please fucking miss, please.
I was the same way because I was like, God, I don't want to make him like he just drilled it. I'm like, you have to give him props. Like,
it was like at the end of the day, you made that putt. It's good. It's like I'm not playing as well as I should. It was like it's just bad, right? But get to the next hole, we both had some pretty good shots, lift ourselves with like a little bit of a putt, both of us, but ended up making it. It was like we both had like 20 foot. On that one. Yeah, we both had 20 foot putts, and everybody on that hole ended up getting a birdie. So cool. Go card for that. And then we got to 17, which was a bit of a weird one. So I ended up having what I thought was a great tee shot. like a great tee shot. I thought I was just gonna like settle a little bit and just end up like, I don't know, 20 feet from the
I thought
basket.
you were gonna be within 30.
But ended up hitting a little patch in the grass where there was nothing. It was just like
Dead grass.
Yeah, just dead ass grass. And ended up, and we couldn't see this off the tee, but it hit the grass and skipped to like 90 feet behind the basket. And I walked over there. I was like, oh my fucking god.
It was like,
and Ron had like a 35 footer
yeah,
that he ended up missing. Thank the Lord. And I just like had to like kind of.
He went right to it. Like he went right to the basket. I'm pretty sure.
He went to the left of the basket.
Okay.
Like he overcooked it a little bit and got a skip.
That's right.
To the left of the basket because we're kind of on like a slope downhill. And
No, I'm sorry. I'm talking about his putt.
Oh, his putt
was to the right.
no, his putt was short and ended up
short?
dinking
Okay.
the basket. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
But I ended up just having to lay up from where I was because no way I'm making that putt. So just like lay up, tap in for a 3. But thank God he got a 3. So still within 2 strokes of each other. Okay. And this is like the hard stretch of holes here is 18, 19, 20. And 18 is just like a lot of OB, like a very tight fairway. It's a par 4, 630 feet. And this one we both kind of flubbed our drives on, not going to lie. And we both had...
I think it helped you that he was before you on this
Yeah.
one. And he... Like,
he turfed it pretty hard.
Yeah, he like went... Because it was a little uphill at the start, but it was like just barely. And he hit like pretty early on the grass and it just kind of stuck.
Yeah.
And like when he did that, I was like, okay, you can kind of relax.
And I threw my line and just like was maybe 2 feet off of it, like low.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just didn't get as much distance as I wanted. And it was just like kind of got in my head. It was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
And he ended up throwing not a great second shot, leaving himself like well short. We were in like the 125-ish range.
Yeah.
So he had that up shot, and I was like, okay, this is where I got to make something good happen.
Yeah.
And bad wind read, and threw this like Anheuser backhand shot that was tracking out of bounds, but got down quick and hit and just like cut back inbounds, which, oh my God, thank the Lord.
That's literally what you said after that shot.
I
You're
was
like,
like,
thank the Lord. And I was...
Yeah.
Because I thought that was gone. I thought that was OB, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
This is... Yeah.
That would have been bad. But that happened. I was safe. And Ron was behind me, so he had to do his upshot to the basket first, and he ended up bucking it pretty bad. Ended up like...
Because he
80 feet to the right of the basket. Like
right.
under
he
some
didn't run it.
trees.
He just like was trying to do like
He was just trying to lay up and just, again, bad wind read. And just because we were thrown into a headwind and ended up just like sailing to the right and was 80 feet to the right. And I had like this little line like framed up to where I could throw a little zone forehand, just get up towards the basket, threw it, and I was at like 20, 25, something like that. Something like that. If my memory serves correctly. So I was like, okay, I have a putt, and I need to make this one because I haven't been putting well, so this brings my confidence back.
Right.
Ron ended up not making his 80-footer up the hill, which I would hope not. I mean, not that I wish bad on Ron, but fuck you, Ron. But I ended up making my putt from 25, and I was like, okay, we're back now. And it's like, it's this weird thing of, because I was still feeling the nerves at this point, right?
Yeah.
And it was like still coming and coming, and then that happened, and I was like, okay. And we were getting up to the island hole. If you remember earlier, the one that I bogeyed the day before, right? And we got this straight headwind, like 20, 25 mile per hour gusts coming right at our face. And I was first to tee because I got a 4. Everybody else like bogeyed the hole. So I was first on the tee. I had to give the wind read, and I wasn't going to throw a force because I overcooked it the day before. So I was throwing a Raptor that I wasn't 100% comfortable with because it's not as over, because it's pretty beat and it's not like completely stupid overstable like I would want it to be to Spike Heiser it. But I was like, this is the only option I think I have right now.
Yeah.
And I got up there and started lining up the shot and everything, and I just kind of like waited on the wind just to like kind of feel it and like see what it was doing. And it was this like very strange like Zen moment. And I know this sounds fucking stupid, but it's this very strange.
I took a
like,
video of it, so I
yeah, no, you, if you go into my Instagram, Adam Seymour _TV.
Shut up.
If you go on there and you look at that video, it's just like that moment of like pure Zen where all that stress and stuff that I felt just like strangely like vanished.
Yeah.
Right? Because this is the hole that the swings happen on.
Yeah, because if
right?
you don't...
Like 2 or 3 stroke swings happen on this hole. So I was like, this is the one. And just like started feeling it, lined it up, and just put full trust in my Raptor, put it on some Heiser, let it float 400, and it was about 400 feet on a dot and just hyzered in right in the middle of the island, 40 feet from the basket. And it was just like just a release moment.
I think I've told you this, but if we were playing like a casual round, if it was just me and
You would have freaked out.
I would have screamed.
Yeah.
Would have screamed. But I was like, I watched it. I watched it.
Right, it was just like a quiet moment, right?
Like that, and
because everyone knew what was happening.
Right, and as soon as you like walked to T-Fed, I'm pretty sure we just like did our fucking like
just
like that shit,
that kind of guy.
And then we had to like keep quiet because it's
right. So Scott and Mark teed off first, or before Ron, and then Ron got up there, and it was just a moment of like
I literally saw
you could see him. He was nervous about this, right? Because again, this is where the swings happen.
Yeah.
And he did not throw a good shot. I don't know if it was like he read the wind wrong, picked the wrong disc, missed his line. I don't know. Something went wrong, and ended up sailing it to the right, and didn't get in.
But
right?
like
it started swinging back, and it was like, but it was just like you could tell it was just too late. And there was a road, and then like the other fairway, and just didn't even hit the road. Because if it hit the road, it might have skipped in, but it was like a little deep and just too far right, and just wasn't the right thing. So he had to go to the drop zone, and this was a thing of like he has to make this putt now, right? To like stay. He had to make that putt, and he missed that putt for his 3. Okay, so he was like.
That's where he was defeated.
And he was like long of it because he gave it a full bid, right? And ended up like 20 feet back, like right before the OB on the backside, which was the scary thing. And I stepped up, and I don't know what our interaction was. He was just like,
because I remember it was like you came up to me, we stepped up to it, and I was like, just play it safe, don't go OB.
Yeah.
And you were like. Okay, I'm going to do a half bid.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to give it a bit of a run.
Yeah.
And I stepped up to it and I have this little 40-footer. And again, you can see like the picture that you took of it. Like the second it came out of my hand, I was like, that's in. Like,
you literally said out loud.
Out loud, I was like, that's in. And then dead center chains. And it was like, because that was the tournament. That putt was the win of the tournament. And he lost his cool a little bit and kind of freaked the fuck out. And we had people on 18 and they were like, like clapping and shit. Yeah. And we got up, dapped up and shit, and it was just like such a like a cool moment that like will live in my brain forever, because that is when I won my first ever tournament. Was on that putt.
19,
and like
I just got chills.
It's like I don't think I'll ever be able to explain like the amount of just like it's fucking crazy, right? I had this big lead and I was blowing it hard, and I've like played in leagues and stuff, and I've played like these tournaments, and I've had leads before and I've just blown it.
White Rose.
And like at White Rose I was up big and then fucked the last nine. And it was one of these moments like I felt it coming again, but and I've always had this like barrier of like I don't know if I can make that, like I don't know if I can finish.
It's all mental shit.
And
it's all mental shit.
That was like the moment I was like, oh, I can do this. And like now I believe that I can do that because I've been through like all that shit, and I told you after the round, I'm like, I'm glad that kind of happened, because now it's like proving to myself, oh wait, like I can get into these like moments of adversity and like still be able to like find my way out of it, right?
For sure.
But we freaked out a lot a bit, and I think we might have gotten to Ron's head a little bit because he missed his 20-footer, which he had done a couple times the round before, and like in this round like early on, because he was pretty fucking like icy like the whole day, like he was making shit, and just missed this 20-footer, and then he tapped out a 5.
Well, it's because I remember, because I know you were flipping shit, so was I, but like I remember he missed that putt and Scott still had to go, and I don't know if it's tournament rules, but like if you miss something stupid like that, you can just go tap it in. Is that tournament rules?
What? Like if you miss something, you can just walk up to it and tap it
in?
No, anybody can tap in. Like it's just a courtesy thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so, like you're allowed to just like go tap in shit. Like
so he missed his putt, and then it looked like he was about to like go back in and like just tap it in, and Scott was like, no, wait, like I'll let you keep your cool, like
and he's like chill out from it.
And then he putted, and I think he ended up getting a 3.
Who? Scott?
No,
Scott.
Scott.
Yeah, Scott 3. Scott 3. You're right.
He got a 3 on that one, and then he tapped out, and he was defeated.
Yeah, no, you could see it, like,
Yeah.
and I we were like sitting over by 18, like watching him miss that putt, and I was just like I don't care, like about
Right.
like how we've been going back and forth, like you just don't want to see that,
Right.
kind of thing, like that just sucks a lot,
Yeah.
you know, because again, solid fucking dude, and like
Yeah,
I want to see him like succeed. Now that I'm winning, I want to see him succeed.
Like next year. No, next year because you'll probably
but
play
next-
NPO
yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah.
But no, it just it sucks. It blows a lot that happened for him, and
Yeah.
but it was great for me.
No, it was funny because
So-
I remember when we first got there and we saw Scott, and he goes, "Adam, I just want you to just pop off, so there's no like
no
what
doubt.
ifs.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's
yeah.
no what ifs."
But like going into that hole, we were like the 3-stroke difference because he got boogie and I parred it, and that was a 3-stroke swing.
Yeah.
So that brought me right back up to 6 up
Yeah.
on him. And then we had hole 20, which is the 902-foot par 5. It was OB, like on the right side. But like it's not the hardest thing to avoid, the out of bounds. So I just played a safe shot, like 450, 500-ish range. But you can get out, like you can get out there because it's like pretty,
Yeah.
it's like a significant amount downhill if you smash on one. But I was like, I'm not having it. I pulled out a force and just like threw something safe,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
all the way down.
Yeah.
And then you have this creek that's out of bounds right before you get over towards the pin. So I just pitched up like a 250, 300-foot shot, like right before
The bridge, right?
the bridge, and threw an upshot, landed me at like 10 feet, 15 feet, something like that. And it's worth mentioning, Ron ended up having a bad hole again and took a double bogey on this because he went out of bounds on, like, he had a bad shot that went into the woods on the left, and then he had to scramble out, and then he went out of bounds, and just like
It was just
another bad hole.
Yeah.
So he ended up dropping tied for 4th from that last hole. And I ended up birdieing that last hole, and it was like everybody tapped out, and then I was able to putt him my birdie and take home the win.
Yeah.
And it was very cool, man. It was a very cool moment.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm gonna think about that one for a long time.
Yeah, for sure.
We're very-
For sure, man. It was. It's hard because it's hard to like describe it because you can never describe it.
It's such like an
there.
in the air feeling, and like people talk about that all the time. It's just like, yeah, just like the feeling of like being there and like what it felt like in the air and in the moment, right? It is just like a very stressful environment and like very competitive, and it was just cool. It was just very cool.
It was really cool.
And, yeah.
Wow.
So it's worth saying. So Scott, Ron, and Mark, who were all on my card, ended up tying for 4th. Zach, who ended up dropping on dropped to chase card for the final round, ended up putting a good round together and shot a 4 down, which
what
is
you ended up
the same as I shot.
Yeah.
And he ended up putting himself in 3rd place. And then we had Jacob Liss, who is a younger kid. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not 100% sure of who he is. This is the first time I've ever seen him on the course. I think I've previously heard of him before, but New Jersey local, Discraft Underground guy, sponsored by Bria Disc Golf as well. He ended up shooting a 5 down, which was the hot round on the day for us, and got himself up into 2nd place. So shout out to him as well.
Yeah, this kid is probably like
He's
13, 14.
he's a little bit older. He looks like 15, I think.
But still.
yeah,
very
but
young.
like young talent, obviously, definitely probably gonna be pretty fucking good. I mean, he's a Disc Golf Underground guy, so it's like yeah. But anyway, I ended up shooting a total of 13 down on the event. He shot a 7 down on the event. Zach shot a 5 down on the event. And then everyone else from my card ended up shooting a 4 down on the event. And that is how that ended up panning out. And just craziness, absolute craziness. And got up there with everybody else on my card. And like a bunch of the amateurs just left because it was like, fuck this. And it's like the top 8 dudes, they got the payouts, just like we're all up there.
The
and
one
did a
guy
little
didn't want to be there.
presentation. Yeah, he was
That
like, oh, I don't want to be there. Like, dude got an 8th. It's just like whatever.
Yeah.
But I ended up doing our little like awards presentation thing. got this beautiful thing over here, and I'm gonna end up hanging it up at some point. Yeah, probably right there. That'll be fun. But it lives here for today as a special occasion. But it was very nice. It was very crazy, and ended up pulling like, what was it, like 15 discs out of the event, which is like kind of ridiculous.
Yeah,
that was our payout, was like a voucher for like the pro shop. And
Yeah.
I was up there and almost left and like didn't open up the envelope, and I opened it and I'm like, okay, I need to like go get like pick my shit out, and just got a ton of new Innova stuff.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of cool. So now I think I'm stocked up on discs for a while. So there's that.
Jesus.
Got a bunch of replacements for shit, and filled some holes in my bag.
Yeah.
Like I put a Firebird in my bag for like an overstable fairway, which I would have felt a lot more comfortable on 19 with.
Right.
But ended up working out, so whatever. I ended up filling some holes, and that was all good. And
But
yeah, that was the tournament.
It was funny when you were telling me, like, when you were first like, because when you were like, oh shit, I have like the thing to use it, like the gift card or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And you were walking in and Scott was coming out or like something like that.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you're just not getting started?
He's like, you better get picking, buddy. It's just like, I know. And I was sitting there. It's like a funny thing because they like had only like so many molds and stuff there, like different processing stuff. And it's just like, I got to like 6 and I was like, what do I do? I was like, it's like, there's so much like more. Because I had like 205, like full transparency, like $205 for the store or something like that. And I was just sitting there with like 6 of them. And I was like, this feels like too many of them. And I was just like only like a little chunk out of it like gone. And I was like, what the fuck?
Because they had them like slightly discounted, like a little bit, I would say.
Yeah, no, they were about
full price?
Yeah, they were about full price. Yeah, not everything is $20. Not everything has Paul Macbeth's name on it.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
$4 per championship, world championship.
true. Very true. Very true. Christ, yeah. But
it was really cool, dude.
and with that said, we took that win, and we're gonna move on to tomorrow, where we have.
Delaware.
We have Delaware. We have the Bellevue Bash tomorrow, a C-tier event at Bellevue State Park. 2-rounder, little guy, much different course than what we played last weekend. But I went up and checked that out this week. And I'm excited to go out there and hopefully ride this momentum a little bit and just play as best as I can, see what we can get out of it.
Want that feeling
You know?
again.
Yeah, man, we're gonna do our best, see if we can put a couple good rounds together and just keep moving on up, you know.
Yeah.
And he's going to county for me, so I know I'm gonna play okay.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. But yeah, again, thank you very much for coming out and continuing to support. I really do appreciate that, man.
Dude, because I think we've talked about it a lot since, because we've been
freaking out.
Yeah. But it was just like, it was the first time I was ever your caddy.
Yeah.
So my stress was like,
making sure you didn't
because
say anything.
you did say something to me.
I was just the thing of like
Friday
listen,
or Saturday?
Listen, I was like, listen, okay. If you come up to me and you're like, "Oh, that's all right, buddy," or you're like, "Don't
You
worry
got
about
this."
it, you got this," that shit pisses me off like, to no end. Like when we're in the moment, right? So I was like, if you say that to me, I will punch you in the face, and I'm not kidding. And you handled it perfectly. You just like whenever I like did something that was good or bad, you just like come up to me, and you're like, "You're all right," and just like fist bump and move on. And I was like, that's great. That like chilled me.
Yeah.
I was good, and it doesn't piss me off. It was great.
Because like
you played it very well.
There was like one moment when I think it was the one hole that you like just shanked a stupid putt.
Yeah.
And like I was like, you came up to me, I was like, you're good, you're fine. And, and I could just see like kind of like you just kind of like.
I was like, yeah, I know.
yeah, exactly. I was like, it's just, but just funny because like you're probably listening, you're like, oh, it's like nothing, but it's like from what you say, it's like it means like a lot.
Yeah,
just to have someone there because you told me when we were driving actually here today. You're like, yeah, I don't think I would have been pulled that dub if you weren't there.
Yeah, because it's just like you're only there by yourself, and you like only have your own like head. You're just like stuck in your head, and you don't have like a release for it. It's like, thank God.
Well, it was because like especially with Ron, because he like lives right across the street from Camp Tecumseh.
I think he helped build the layout from if what I heard was correct.
Right.
Was that he like helped build the course?
But like everyone there knew Ron.
Yeah.
Like all of his friends.
Yeah, no, Ron was like the guy,
and like he was like everyone was like cheering him on,
And I'm like the Maryland dude from 3.5 hours away, and they were like, "Go back to Maryland."
Yeah, but it was just like it was just funny because it was just like
it was very much underdog.
You needed someone there, more than ever.
Yeah, like even though it was like I had the 6-stroke league, it was like very much like an underdog feeling of like everybody knows this guy. Like, he's like the guy,
and just like grandpa came with him and everything.
Yeah, it's just like if I didn't have another person there, it'd just be like, "Hey man, like you go too," and I'm like, "Yeah, you're right, I will go."
Fuck you, man, go. Shit.
Yeah. So, got this tomorrow, and I'm sure we'll let you know how that one goes. I'll keep you all up to date on Instagram and such. But I do want to say, like, huge thank you to everybody that like messaged me personally and just wished me well and congratulated me. I really do appreciate all of that. I have, like, I don't want to be that guy that's just like, I'm like, I work so hard for everything, but like I've been putting a lot of my life into this, and it's getting to the point where I'm starting to finally see some of that payoff.
Yeah. No, that was like the big thing that I told like Zach and Dan and Carolyn when I got back to school. Right. It was just like he needed that. He needed a payoff for like all the shit he's putting into it, because it's like it's really hard when you put in so much effort for something,
and it's just like not clicking,
and you just like you don't see any payoff. You're just like, come on. Like,
and I've been seeing payoff, but that was like big payoff. You know what I mean? That was like that was like my breakout moment.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
I just needed that.
No, for sure.
And a lot of people were messaging me and acknowledging like, "Hey man, like I know we're not exactly like right there next to each other, but I can see what you're doing from afar, and like keep pushing, and like that shit motivates me and helps me, and I really, really appreciate if you were one of those people that sent a message like that to me. So thank all of you for the continuous support, and I will keep going, and hopefully just get better and better. And we got some huge stuff coming up within the year, just like plans to. I've got a pro tour event later in the year, so it's just like just gonna keep building off of this, man, and just see where we can go with it.
It's just funny because you started this journey
a year ago. It's a year ago, like now.
When you really started.
When I like started like keeping score and like doing like actually playing like by the rules and shit. Like it was a year ago, man.
That's crazy. I was telling them shit. I don't remember how I was telling them.
It feels like so much longer.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I was telling Spencer yesterday at practice. He's like, he was like asking me how I started with disc golf. I was like, literally how I started was my family didn't play like the rules. We just played, if you hit middle, you're good. Yeah. Go on to the next hole. But it's just like, but it was like as you got better, or I got into it more, you get to know the rules. But it's just it's pretty cool. It's really cool seeing you really be dedicated towards something, because especially with COVID hitting, like with you doing music, it was just like fuck music sometimes, but especially because you're just not performing.
Yeah.
But this is something that you can really do something for. So it's as an out, like as like one of your close friends, it's just like really cool to see you. Because like lately, because you've just been like grind with like working out and shit like that. Yeah. It's just like it's really cool. Yeah.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
No. All right. Well, I think we're good. I appreciate it.
I didn't realize we talked that long.
Crazy.
I was like, all right, shit. What's the next topic?
I appreciate everybody coming out and listening to this podcast, and again for the continuous support on everything that I'm doing. I'm gonna get some more content out for you guys, I swear.
I was just about to say, so when's that video coming out? Listen, when was that, in March?
Dude, I got shit going on, all right?
Yeah, I got shit going on.
No, but
hitting trees.
But for real. During summer, I do plan on weekly basis, or like 2 times a week, because I'm going to have a lot more free time. So I swear to God, there are more videos coming, more content coming. I promise, all right? Just hop off, all right? I'll do my best.
Twice a week, that's a commitment, boy.
I said sometimes it'll be twice a week, but I will try to commit to one every week, at the very least, right? But yeah, got this coming up. Got finals coming up, and then get rolling on all that. So yeah, Nobody asked. So yeah, we'll end it right there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really, really do appreciate it. If you take a moment to like, comment, subscribe, follow us on whatever platform that you're viewing on, Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Let me know if you want anybody specific on, what you want me to talk about, all that good stuff. And until next time, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you later. Peace.